That's the problem. Now, as many of you may have heard the other night when we were at Busboys and Poets, I told a story of my second grade teacher, who is my inspiration, who was the seed who planted me as the seed. That original idea of becoming a teacher came from her. We held reunions. She gave so much to us and engaged all of us. And this was a poor school in the South Bronx. She gave all of us the kind of encouragement that we needed and engaged us in such a way that for every year at Christmas time, for 10 years, we met at a local Howard Johnson's restaurant. Anybody remember those? All right. Just to meet. We had 2 more reunions, 44 years later at her house. And then finally, the last one at a memorial service at St. John's University, where she taught when she died. And people came from Puerto Rico, and they came from California, and they came from all over the country, from our second grade class, to pay homage to her. That's the kind of teacher that is all over this country, and we're forgetting about that. However, in the 6th grade, I learned to hate school. Because one of the things my 6th grade teacher did was have vocabulary lessons with lists of words that you had to memorize and be able to say, define, say, and use in a sentence. Now, in that time, we had classes of 36. I was in the 4th seat in the last row, which made me like the 34th kid to go, and I knew what word was going to be mine. And I was shitting the breath because I could not pronounce it. I knew how to define it. I knew how to use it in a sentence, and I will later at the end of this, all right? But I had no idea of how to pronounce it. So as they're progressing up the rows, and across the columns, and up the rows, I'm getting more nervous and nervous and nervous and nervous, and then it's my turn. And she says, "David, your word is," and I go, "awkward." I felt really awkward in that situation. My grades, I didn't realize it until much later, but my grades went down from that moment in 6th grade all the way through my junior year in high school when another teacher re-inspired me. 2 teachers, in fact. One who brought me to the side and said, "I don't understand why you're just sitting around not saying anything. When you have something to say, there's a lot of meaning there." And another teacher who set the world's record for the most in a room in a 40-minute period. 436, we actually counted. And then I said at that point, that was an economics class, and I said at that point, "You know what? I can do a better job than that guy." And that's what inspired me to continue to go into teaching. So from that point on, I decided I had already known what engaged me as a student and what enraged me as a student. And I swore that I, as a teacher, would only do those things that would engage the kind of student I was, because I dropped out mentally, even though I was there physically. So, Nikhil, as he said earlier, has been researching this. I mean, he's lived 13 years of it, as he said, but he's been researching and he's been talking about it. And so he's going to give us a little bit more about his ideas about how we can actually transform it so that more kids